Hello and welcome to Channel Duello. Since Way of the Witcher expansion for Gwent has been released, I've been testing new decks for each faction and shooting videos for them. And finally, it's Syndicate's turn. For Syndicate, I'm a bit confused. And why? Because self-poison is not particularly a strong mechanic in my opinion. And I don't think, let's say, a deck dedicated to self-poison only could work. But we can add some new cards to existing decks like Passiflora. And I look up to playgwent.com, and the most popular deck for Syndicate was Necrotal's Hidden Cache deck. So I'm gonna focus on this deck and show you a couple of games, and we'll see together if it performed well or not. Let's take a look at the deck and examine each card. Our leader ability is Hidden Cache. I think it's the strongest leader ability for Syndicate, other than Congregation. Congregation is totally like different. It's like a different faction actually. Anyhow, if you want to play classic Syndicate, Hidden Cache seems to be the best choice. And we have the stratagem Tiger's Eye. You could use Tactical Advantage or Magic Lamp, but I think Tiger's Eye is really good, especially you can play some of your strongest sons as early as possible with using Tiger's Eye's 4 coins. So I totally recommend this one. And then the deck is essentially built around Passiflora. It's your main engine, and but unfortunately there is no defender in this deck. And it's really vulnerable to Heatwave, which many people play in their deck and wait for Passiflora to show up. Still, you know, if Passiflora survives, you usually win the game. So it is a very strong scenario, no doubt about that. And let's move on to the other cards. Well, for Passiflora, you're gonna need blind dice. So how many blind dice do we have in this deck? Timboy made his return. When raw stacking is popular, Timboy is preferred in Syndicate faction, you know, as a natural response. And since he is a blind die, he really fits well into Passiflora decks. What does he do? Deploy damage all enemy units on a row by 2. So if someone is stacking their units on a row, you can, you know, severely punish them. And if there are a lot of units in the other row as well, and if you have 8 coins to spare, you can play the tribute code and damage all enemy units by 2 instead, and this could be really devastating. So it's a really strong card, you know, if you could really play it well on time. What about other blind dice? We have Adriano. Adriano is really crucial in triggering Passiflora's chapters. And it's become like an auto-include card. So I haven't seen any Passiflora decks without Adriano for the last couple of months. And then there are no other gold blind die cards. We have 2 Passiflora Peaches. If you're playing Hidden Cache, these are essential choices. So this Horde 4 reduces to Horde 2, so, and they will boost themselves by 1 each turn. So it's really a, you know, decent engine, and could be threatening if not you know, responded by the opponent. And then this is not a blind eye. We have 2 Street Urchins. Again, this is a bare bone of classic Passiflora or Syndicate deck, and they are blind eyes. So as you see, there aren't many blind dice, so you need to be careful with playing them. You gotta always check how many blind dice you have left in your deck. So you need 2 to trigger all the chapters of Passiflora, so be careful with that. What about the other cards? Well, there are a lot of control cards. We have Karathi Heatwave. If you're not playing a Devotion deck, Karathi Heatwave seems to be the obvious choice for any kind of deck. Let's say most decks. And then we have some poison, which means Toll Punish. There aren't as many Veil cards as used to, you know, during the Master Mirror expansion. Those 7 power Veil cards, 7 provision Veil cards really were popular. We don't see them as often as we used to. So poison is viable in this meta. especially, you know, V decks and other greedy decks, you know, come up with tall units. That's why we have morale. And then we have 2 Fistek and 2 Fistek Trafficker. These are, you know, essential cards as well. And we have an additional mutated hounds. So if you count them, we have 5, and if morale can trigger twice, you have 7 poison targets. So in most games, you should be able to kill at least 2 or even 3 units. And we have an additional tool in our disposal, which is Salamandra Hideout. This is the new location card from Way of the Witcher. Syndicate's location is really good, just like the other location cards. Why? Because it's a flexible card. It's giving you 4 options, so depending on the state of the board, you can select the one that you need. The weakest choice is Salamandra Lackey. Obviously, I think I only played it once. Salamandra Lackey is an engine that you should play early. So if you gain coin, it's gonna boost itself by 1, but only 1 coin per turn. Salamandra Mage could be good against Raw Punish if there are 3 units, you know, adjacent 3 units. Salamandra Mage will hit them each by 2, but you need to pay a tribute of 4. So you need to have a lot of coins in your bank if you're using this. And plus it has Adrenaline 5 whenever you pay a tribute ability, gain 1 coin. This is not a tribute specific deck, so just ignore this ability. It's really hard to trigger this. And the other 2 options are most used, you know, compared to the previous 2. Salamandra Abomination is a really good choice. If you pay the tribute 1 coin, it's gonna poison self. And since the order ability of this hideout is moving the poison to another unit, you can poison the Abomination, and then the next turn you can move the poison to another unit, which will obviously be opponent's unit, and then you can complete the poison with another card from your hand. So it's gonna work like morale. I think it's really good. So Salamandra Abomination should be your first priority, in my opinion, in this deck. But in the videos I shot, I hadn't played a lot of games, so I usually went for failed experiments. Failed experiments actually puts a huge body on the board, 9 power, and if you have a unit that can poison your allies, it's going to be really nice, because you're going to poison the failed experiment and get a all of a sudden, you know, big point slam. So it has to be poisoned, and while poisoned, it's not gonna reduce your coin, or if you have no coins, it's gonna damage self by 1 instead. So, well, you will always have coins, so that's not a problem, but you don't want to lose coin. So that's why failed experiment needs to be poisoned, and there is a good card to complement that. What is that? That card is one of the Blindheim brothers, Gellert Blindheim. I think this card is pretty good. You don't have to play a self-poison theme deck. Why? Because this is 7 power provision card with 5 power with 2 profits. So it's like 7 point for 7 provision, but it has fee 1, poison an allied unit, and boosted by 2. So if you're careful with your targets and there are no poison threats on the other side of the board, well, as you see, you're spending 1 coin and getting 2 power in return. So it is a good engine, actually. And he is also somewhat a spender, but you know, you can only use it once per turn. Still, it could be really nice, you know, boost your units. I think this card is pretty good, and opponents are not familiar with him, and you can use that to your advantage while you're playing the game. And Blindheim is really a good combination with this failed experiment. You can poison the failed experiment, and thanks to that, no coins will be spent, and that experiment will go up to 11 power. So that's nice. And then what do we have? Well, another new card is Stolen Mutagens. This one has 3 options, and I like its flexibility. Again, similar to the location card, you can pick the one that you need when you play it. Well, sometimes you're gonna need to damage an enemy unit by 4, like Cat Witcher. You need to destroy him, so red selection will be quite nice. For blue selection, you can poison an allied unit and gain 5 coins in addition to the, poisoning that. If you're gonna poison a failed experiment, so that could be a good target. And for green, I think this is the my least used one. Boost an allied unit by 4 and give it fail. So if you wanted to save someone from poison, this could be a good option. And it has an additional bonus. If you control at least 3 Salamandra units, profit 3. Well, there aren't a lot of Salamandra units in this deck, so it's really unlikely that you will use that. I haven't. And what are those units? Do we have 3 units in the deck? We have Mutated Hounds, which is a Salamandra. Gellert is a Salamandra. That makes 2. And you can spawn a Salamandra unit with a hideout. So you need to play all these through before playing the Stolen Mutagens special card. So the chances are really slim. Anyway, what about the other cards? The other cards are pretty standard for any kind of Passiflora decks. We have Philippa Eilhart. You can steal one of your opponent's units, and Philippa gives you a great tempo. One of the best cards probably in Syndicate. Vivaldi Bank is your tutor. Instead of using Oneiromancy, this is a cheaper, more economic option. Especially if Passiflora is not in your hand, Vivaldi Bank should give you the scenario that you need, or if you're missing a blind die, Vivaldi Bank can find you that missing card. And Flying Redanian is a thinner card. This is Horde 9, but thanks to the leader ability, if you have 7 coins in your bank, Flying Redanian will spawn from your deck, and then if you manage to do that on the first round, you're gonna see the Redanian on the you can see the Redanian on second and third round. So this is a really good card, and opponents really like to give this card Veil, or eat it with Squirrel. So it's a legitimate threat. Soul is a great round 1 or round 2 card, but he's pretty weak in round 3. Because many people have answers to a tall unit like that in the final round. But if you can play it on the first round instead of Horde 9 with Horde 7, this guy will boost himself by 3 each turn, and that he can single-handedly win you the round if the opponent has no answer to Soul. He's really powerful in that case. Those were the gold cards. What about the rest of the bronze cards? We have 2 Sea Jackal. Again, another Barebone card. We have a single Tight Cloak Ransackers. Thanks to, again, leader ability, that Horde 5 will be Horde 3. So this will hit for 2, and then you will gain 2 coins additional. So it's like a 4 provision card for 7 value. Really nice. But that 2 damage, is just 4 points. It's really hard to kill a unit with that 2 damage. And that's about it. And we have a single Squirrel, I'm sorry. And well, there aren't a lot of echo cards being used right now in the meta. But Lippy is really popular. If you can't Heatwave Lippy, or Heatwave series or Steel series, Squirrel could at least banish her from the graveyard. Or maybe one of the maidens. But I think you can replace it with something else, like Line of Credit maybe, which is a blind die card, or Kikimora Warrior that can eat your. Those 2 cards can eat your Flying Redanian, so that could be an alternative if you don't like the Squirrel selection here. Well, that's it, I guess. I shot 2 videos for you. Unfortunately, I'm having some technical difficulties with my graphics card on my laptop. So normally I use my laptop to capture the gameplay videos, but I can't due to the graphic cards problem I have. So I shot these videos on my cell phone, and then, you know, edited it with this video. So it's gonna look awkward, you know, the icons and numbers are bigger than usual, so I'm sorry for that. Resolution, I don't know about the resolution, but the quality is not as it's used to be, so I'm sorry for that. Hopefully I'll be able to fix that within the couple of weeks, but at least I can capture this deck guide so the game doesn't give me problem while I'm doing that. Okay, so let's move to the videos. I hope you like them. 2 videos, 1 win, 1 loss, spoiler. So I'm not gonna only share you the wins in this video, so you can see the weaknesses of the deck. Okay, hope you enjoy it, and see you at the end of the video. In the first game, I'm being matched against Squirtle. Squirtle is preferring movement mechanic lately, and we have some different leader ability options, and this particular opponent is playing Guerilla Tactics, so I need to be careful against some cards like Brehen, and some of my cards, you know, will be useless, like Morale, because he's roll locked, but other than that I think I'll be fine. And right at the start, as you see, I have Tin Boy in my hand, which is great news. So Tin Boy is a great response to these type of raw stacking decks, and poison should really come handy too. So I think it's a good matchup, but I don't think I'm particularly favored against it. So I think I have 50-50 chance in this matchup. Anyway, let's take a look at the cards. As you see, I've played them before, so I'm gonna comment on them. Well, Squirrel is really useless against Squirtle. There's nothing to banish from the graveyard, so that will be my obvious first choice. And I'm playing on blue coin, which isn't great news. I've taken out one of the Passiflora Bleaches. This looks mostly okay. I have 4 poisons. Tin Boy. I think this is fine. No, I don't think this is fine, so I decided to send one of them as well, so I got Vivaldi Bank apparently. So it's an upgrade. Okay, since I'm starting first, and Peaches is a good, you know, starting choice. I'm not gonna click on the leader ability. No need to rush the leader ability. So the first card my opponent will play will either be Cat Witcher or the other engine cards. That's that movement booster elf. But instead it's the Cat Witcher. Unfortunately, I don't have an immediate answer for the Witcher. Well, I have Philippa, but I'm not gonna use it for that. Instead, I prefer to go for Soul, and the deck that my opponent is playing only has Heatwave to deal with it if he is playing Heatwave in his main deck. Other than that, there's no answer, so 7 power is really strong. So right from the start, you know, I wanted to, you know, start as strong to win the round. Round control is really important. I need to win the round and try to bleed my opponent, because these elves decks are really not good in short rounds. Here comes the other card that I was talking about, Dull Bloodthorn Sentry. And I need to poison one of these, obviously. And I wasn't particularly being careful with roll stacking, but in this meta, you should stack your units in the range row if you're playing against Squirtle, because of the fact that Gezra is really the best card in this deck, and many opponents, you know, I mean, Gezra will hit the melee row, so stacking melee row isn't a good idea. And when there's Cat Witcher on the board, You should try to stack them in a single row, since you know if you divide them, it's Cat Witcher will hit one turn hit the melee row, the other turn will hit the range row. So if you stack them in a single row, you know it's gonna skip one turn. Well, the opponent purified it. Not many uses Caress card in this type of deck, but I have limitless poison capability in this deck. So here comes a second poison. The Cat Witcher has no choice but to die. The opponent is deciding. So what is the answer for that? Fob. Are we going to see another Caress? No, instead we have Nature's Rebuke. It is kind of a suspect play. That Rebuke didn't kill my Peaches, so what was it for? I think the opponent just wanted Rebuke to be in the graveyard for the Forest Protector. Okay, so I think I've used as you see when I'm playing on the phone, you know, those messages could pop off. I didn't have a spender, so that's why I used the bank. Otherwise, that's Fist deck would have gone to waste. But because of that, I had to, you know, spend Vivaldi Bank early. So in the final rounds, you know, I could miss a crucial card. But to win the round, I needed something like that because I didn't have a spender in my hand. And I carried 5 coins. That will be divided by 2, so 2 coins will be turned over to the next round. And the leader ability will trigger, so I will have 5 coins in the beginning. I have Passiflora, Phenomenal News. I only have one. I actually have 2 blind eyes, but the second blind eye is Timboy, which isn't ideal because you want Timboy to play, you know, as the final card of the round. I got rid of Stolen Mutagens and got rid of one of the Sea Jackals, and unfortunately I got Squirrel. Well, at least Squirrel has a target in that graveyard. You know, Nature's Rebuke could be removed. But still, it's a weak play. If I was planning to bleed my opponent, so that's not the best of play to start the round. But that's what I have to do here. And you'll never know, maybe I can change my mind and not bleed depending on what the opponent plays. Well, I have 7 cards, so I still have a chance to pass. My opponent is really thinking hard to what to do. But regardless of what he plays, I'm really keen on playing Cat Passiflora because, you know, it's a death sentence to play a long round against these type of Scoia'tael decks. Even though Passiflora decks used to be great in long rounds, they're not great anymore compared to Scoia'tael. Here comes Novigradian Justice. My opponent is trying to intimidate me into, you know, not pushing for this round, but I will keep playing. So that was a good play by my opponent in my opinion. Anyway, so here comes Passiflora. Let's see if my opponent has Heatwave. Instead, my opponent has the second Rebuke, which isn't great. One of my engine is gone. I need to produce more engines. And there's only a Forest Protector left, probably, you know, to deal a direct damage like that. I'm gonna use the leader ability, and then why am I doing that? Well, because I wanted to trigger Adriano's, tribute. I had 2 coins in the bank, so that wouldn't be enough. So I'm using Adriano, but in the process, I think I'm gonna lose, over profit just by 1 coin. But it's worth it. I want to settle, you know, the engines as early as possible. The problem with this hand is I don't want to play the Tin Boy next. So the second Passiflora card will not be showing up anytime so soon. So maybe this wasn't a great choice. Anyhow, I need to spend some of these coins, so I'm gonna get these Dryads here, and then play some units right to the Dryad, and then Dryad will boost them. It looks like my opponent is struggling to put engines on the board for now. It's really bad that I can't play another blind eye like right now. I have to wait for the row to be filled. Here comes another Dryad Matron. Fortunately, my opponent doesn't have that sentry. Well, since that dwarf has 6 power, it's a good target for, poison, but I don't have the follow-up poison, so I'm just doing that to gain some coins. Now I have 8 coins. And Tin Boy has enough coins to tribute for 2 rows, but as you see, there are only 4 units on the board. It makes no sense to play him. My next play will probably be Sea Jackal. Here comes Sentry, a kind of a late arrival. And I play my Jackal, and I'm gonna click on once to get the Horde value. Now it's Horde 5. I have 6 coins right now. I don't need to spend any further, because I'm planning to play the round, because I still haven't played my second blind eye, which is Tin Boy. Here comes Gezra, and I'm fortunate that there are only 4 units on that range row, and since I used Philippa, my only answer to this is Heatwave. And while I was using actually Philippa, I thought that I can play Heatwave for Gezra, and since Gezra is 7, I get even more value out of that Heatwave. Again, no rush to spend the coins. I'm still 6 points ahead. There is no Gezra threat here. Gezras, or maybe I don't know the exact pronunciation, but I think Gezra could be the right pronunciation. So I'm hoping for more units on that range row, because 4 is really not that great, and one of them has armor on it. Here comes Malena, and Malena will probably pull that dwarf to that row. So it's nice. There is even more units on that row. But still, one of them is shielded, the other is armored, so I'm not getting a great value out of this, but I got the second bonded girl. As you see, if I was able to play my second blind eye, the other blind eye, spawned blind eye should have been like around 8 or something like that, but right now it's only 4. And there is really an important thing here. I played Tin Boy here, and since that unit has to be spawned on Passiflora's row, it's filled the row entirely. So the Dryad didn't move to the right of the board. So this looks like a mistake because I'm gonna lose a couple of points because of that. But at the same time, it is a blessing in disguise. Why is that? Because my opponent is playing Guerilla Tactics, and Guerilla Tactics usually use Brehen. And uh, Brehen only needs 3 cards on the same row, and he will kill the rightmost card on that row. And you know, he can use the leader ability. You know, if I had played the Timboy here, he could have, you know, moved one of the taller units to next of you know, Timboy and kill it. So my opponent still can kill it, but he needs to use 2 leader charges to do that. So it's 28 to. And by the way, I mean I used another charge since the Horde boost 3 thing is going on. So you know, I decided to carry over 4 coins. I don't expect to win the round, but I'm expecting to bleed out my opponent at least, and I don't think there is any card that, you know, can produce 20 points. Maybe, you know, 2 leader ability, and then moving Sea Jackal to the front row could be a solution. Let's see what my opponent will do. But the solution I suggested won't work because it will the leader will deal 2 damage. Instead, Gaten comes and gives my opponent a lot of value. And Melena moves the Sentinel to the range row. And now the gap is 11. My opponent needs 12 points. Actually 15 points because of the bonded. My opponent will play, and because of bonded ability I will get 2 points. It is possible to produce that points. I mean, here comes Brehen. My opponent decided not to use any of the leader ability, but in the end he had to use one of them to get the boost he needs. He probably didn't, you know, plan the bonded ability, so at least, you know, he still had a chance to make up the missing points by using the leader ability to boost one of his units. So my opponent is going to be forced into a short round against me. My short round isn't spectacular, but I expect it to be better. And I have the last say. I will have 2 coins in the bank, but my opponent has 2 leader abilities, so that makes 4 points, so more than me. Here are my choices for the final round. That poisoner guy is quite good. And Morale is nice, but I have to be careful of my opponent's leader ability because Morale will be moved to range row after he plays a deploy. Well, having Sea Jackal is nice because I will have at least 5 coins in the bank. It's actually 7 coins, you know. This brother will profit 2 coins, so that Jackal will be a, you know, nice finisher. Here comes Triant Boar, and my opponent for some reason, you know, decided to boost the boar. Maybe he was expecting a payday or something like that. So I can play Morale here, but my opponent will obviously find an answer for him. So instead I play this guy and produce 2 coins. Unfortunately, there is no cards to, you know, poison, but I will poison the boat in the final round if necessary. Here comes the final Cat Witcher. It sucks that the boat is spawned on a different row. And Boar hits for 2. Well, if I play morale last, it's not gonna do much. If I play it, I mean, I was expecting my opponent to use the final leader ability. That would have been amazing, but he was being careful and was patient to save that leader ability. You know, he could have easily used it on Cat Witcher, but he didn't. So I'm playing morale and poisoning the board. Obviously, he's going to be moved. Otherwise, that board will be destroyed, and that 7 point isn't, small. So that will cost my opponent the game. And so he will move morale. But if I hadn't played that, he was going to move the board and then hit for 2 more. So at least I forced my opponent to do a selection like that. So he couldn't move the board and get 2 points. But he saved the board from poison. He will save the board from poison, I'm sorry. By the way, I used that ability and my coin is now 6. But the Redanian has been boosted by 2. I have 6 coins in the bank. So that's gonna produce a lot of points. My opponent is out of leader ability. Here comes Stick a Castle. The selection will probably be Cat Witcher. Again, it sucks that... Yeah. And unfortunately, Blytham Brothers got destroyed, so I won't be able to boost any of my units. But as you see, thanks to Horde bonus, I will be able to pass my opponent by 2 points and win the round. I'm having last say as a Passiflora player with a Spender in hand. Really works quite well, as the case here. And here's the second game. In this game, I'm matched up against, unfortunately, Cancerous V deck. And leader ability is Overwhelming Hunger, so whenever you see it, it's 99% chance that you're playing against a V deck. And I don't have any good things to say about V deck. It's extremely toxic. It's a brain dead deck, and anyone can play it. And there is no interaction, so I hate it essentially. And I played twice against VDEC while playing these videos. I won one of them, and actually, if you're curious about it, I put it on the Turkish version of this video. And you may not understand what I'm saying, but at least you can watch the gameplay. So, I shot 4 videos. 2 of them are in Turkish, 2 of them in English. And again, if you like this deck, you can watch 2 more videos. I'll provide the link below. Okay, against V, I have red coin, fortunately, because with blue coin, I've been probably dead. At least I won't lose a lot. Well, having poisons is nice. A squirrel, is useless, so I got rid of it. This is not a, great hand by any means, but I have some poison options at least. And this is a really odd stratagem choice. It looks like I'll be, playing poison in this round mostly. My opponent doesn't have any interaction with my side of the board. At least that's what everyone plays. And here comes Desert Banshee. This is a horrible card, but they need as many consume units as they can, so that's why they have to play it. Okay, what to do against this? Well, there isn't much we can do. Trying to earn as many coins as possible seems to be the obvious choice here. So I go with Street Urchins, gain 3 coins, and then use the leader ability, and I have 6 coins right now. I'm planning to follow it up with a poison. probably Fistech. So just in case my opponent has something like natural, selection, at least I left it at 5 coins, so I can complete it with Fistech to 9 coins. Here comes the first V. Desert Banshee is 13 power. I can poison it. If my opponent wants to use the leader ability, he can, but there are only 3 choices, so he needs to be careful with those. If I was playing that deck, I wouldn't consume it, but I wouldn't play this deck at all. Here is Foglet, so instead of playing another V, my opponent is decided to thin out his deck. I'm curious why he didn't play it a turn earlier. So I think that wasn't smart. He could have played V later. Here comes a follow-up poison. Now I'm ahead by 6 points, but my opponent will consume Foglet and get a lot of points. I have 9 coins, which I don't really need that much. I can mostly reduce my coins to 7 as a thumb rule. 7 coins is enough for all of the horde cards. And I'm not planning to use Philippa in this round, so I'm not worried about having 9 coins all the time. Okay, Barghest consumed it, so another toll unit. Barghest is not a bad choice for poison. As you see, I still have poison potential. I have 7 coins in the bank. I can play Ransackers maybe onto Foglet. That could be a choice, or keep poisoning is another choice as well. What I'm not gonna play in this round is not Adriana and Philippa are not really smart choices. They have to be saved for later rounds. I decided to go for the location and failed experiment. Since failed experiment won't have poison on her, it's gonna cost me a coin. But I can self-poison that failed experiment with Fistech Trafficker, and then move that poison to a unit on the other side of the board while I'm waiting for a bigger option like this. So Barghest gets even bigger. So my opponent isn't worried at all about poisons. You know what? I have used one, so he doesn't expect a second poison, but I have actually. So the unit is just too tall. Why am I doing this? Because I'm earning extra 3 coins with this move. Now I will transfer the poison to that unit, but I'm not in a rush. I could have done that, but if I had done that, the opponent would have consumed the unit, so I want to do it on the same round. The opponent keeps playing Barbagazi. Now I use the location to move the poison to the other unit, but since failed experiment doesn't have poison on her, I will lose coins, but it was worth it because all of a sudden it's 10 to 32. But my opponent is playing a brain dead deck, so playing Viy one more time is an option, which he does with this relic unicorn card. He spawns a Viy, and unfortunately I lose Tin Boy here because the deploy ability isn't triggered. Although Tin Boy isn't great against this deck, there won't be a lot of units on the board. Now there is a 20-point target on the board, and I'm gonna I have 4 cards, my opponent has 3 cards. In order to win the round, he needs to play another card, so passing here is the logical choice. And besides, my opponent will play another V, so he can, pass me. So while I have the chance, I need to pass. I'm thinking like, my opponent is finally forced to play a long round because he will be 2 cards down. He plays Wild Hunt Rider and had to use a leader ability to pass me. 2 to 4 cards, everything looks great. So normally in this game, if you're in a position like this, you shouldn't push. But the V deck is so stupid and I don't have anything good to say. I'm looking for words and I don't want to, curse on the channel. But the deck is so stupid to design that, the opponents can't keep playing and, could come victorious even they have 2 cards less than me. Because why? They will keep playing giant units one after another. And there are only a few, toll removal options. How many toll removal can I, put in this deck? I already used a couple of poisons. Here comes Desert Banshee. Well, since my opponent has lost his mind, I'm gonna... I was thinking about using Philippa, but, I have that special card, so dealing 4 damage is enough. So I took away one of his consume options. So if he wants to keep pushing, he will probably have to use one of the leader charges. Matahuri will extend the round for him. And I get a Spander that could be useful. But I don't have many coins in the bank, only 4. But I can produce more coins with those ransackers, or just play Soul here. He will get 2 boosts actually with 4 Horde. I think that Soul could have been a better choice. Instead I went for the additional 2 coins. Yeah, I remembered why I did that, because, maybe my opponent will play Barbagazi or something like that, so at least I can steal it with Philippa. So it's better to have more cards. And as you see, that's what I planned to do. So I'm gonna get that Barbagazi and, put my opponent in a really awkward position. He is 2 cards down. I have more points on him. This looks like a victory, right? Well, it isn't, unfortunately. Since he's already down, he has to keep playing, though. At least, bleed me out of my good cards. I don't have Passiflora, by the way, so that won't be a big loss. Saving Passiflora is essential. But will I have enough blind eyes? My opponent must be thinking about passing here, since he really took long time, and there isn't really anything to think about in this deck. Power, 17 power V. It was consumed, now it's 19 power, and my opponent has only 1 leader ability left. 23 to 12. It's ridiculous, Soul kinda lost its value. I'm just gonna play a 4-point card, and then what I'm planning to do is I need to play a 7-point card after that. Another freaking Wii, and uses all the leader ability. So no charges left. Well, that 22 power looks like a really good heat wave target, but I don't need to rush it. I'm gonna play Adriano. Not really in a great spot here, but I think I will manage to, My opponent finally decided to pass, and unfortunately my last toll removal will be used, 22 to 23, and I have Sea Jackal, so that's why I played Adriana to get the 2 additional coins, and I managed to pass my opponent by a point. I think despite being forced that much by my opponent, I was able to recover really nicely. So I'm going into the final round having last 2 saves. No, just having last save, I'm sorry. And 1 more card than my opponent. Having bank is nice, but I don't have any coins left. At least I have my leader ability. Okay, so I have 2 blind dice, so I was looking for the passive flora, and since I have really low coins, I thought Soul won't be really good in this matchup, so I decided to mulligan my way. This looks like a win, right? Passive flora and 2 blind dice to follow up, and bank to get what I'm missing. Well, I didn't use the leader ability here. I could have maybe used it, but why didn't I do that? I didn't want to over profit. If I did that, I would have 3 coins, and then Street Urchin will add 3 more coins, and then 3 coins would have been wasted. So instead of wasting 3 points, I decided to sacrifice 1 point for that Peaches. Well, normally these decks are not playing Heatwave, but unfortunately for me, unlucky for me, my opponents all of a sudden Heatwave my passive flora, which is devastating. Well, at least I have a spender and 2 engines, but these engines are not that great, and the round is kinda short. My opponent is gonna play final 3 cards, and he somehow came up with consume bronze card. I have nothing to do against that. Now I have to poison my units, but I can do it 1 unit per turn. Still looks winnable, but Alzur's double cross will guarantee a 23 point ridiculous V. So instead of one of those cards, if I had a poison card in my hand, I would have won the game, because Bank was gonna find the other poison card, and I can't win the game with only 1 poison card, so doesn't look great here. Well, I have all the cards in my disposal. I'm checking the bank. Looks like Fistech Trafficker is the best choice because it will give me 3 coins by poisoning myself. The other choices are not great. That Heatwave was, the finisher there. And I took a lot of time during that round, so I could have, poisoned one of the Peaches as well to get additional points. Well, would it matter? Well, what is the final card? Another tutor card. So my opponent plays V for the umpteenth time. 26 power, absolutely ridiculous. And as you see, I mean, I did everything I can. I don't think I could have played any better. And playing at that requires actual thinking. Couldn't beat a deck that requires no thinking at all. It's really unfortunate. Gwent is supposed to be a game for players that use their head, but instead some people prefer to use broken cards to to take advantage of, you know, these situations. It's really unfortunate. CD Projekt should you know, use this video as an example. You know, maybe I'm sounding salty, but I don't think, you know, this kind of play deserves to win. You know, you have 2 cards less than your opponent, and you're still forcing your opponent, and you're still coming up with a win by playing a V over and over and over and over again. Thank you for watching. I hope I didn't sound too sour, but you know, I'm sick of these decks, this and both Lippy, so hopefully something will be done, you know, to prevent them from being played against. It really sucks to play against both of these decks, and I'm not the only one who's thinking like that, I'm pretty sure. Okay, thank you for watching, and hope you like the videos. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up, and if you're liking my content, subscribe to my channel. I will keep providing English videos along with the Turkish ones, so you won't be disappointed. Thank you for watching, bye bye, and see you in another Duello video.